Hey, welcome to episode 134 the Corey Shepherd podcast. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening every week. Hey, a special welcome to all my day one listeners who listening from episode 1 all up to today. Salute to everybody who just pick up this podcast and only brand new on the scene and always go back to episode 1. Let me tell you something. This podcast is a kind of pick it up thing, because I don't know how relevant episode 1 is. I don't know what, I can't remember what I say in episode 1. But what I could tell you is I'm here to update every single week. All the week was all I do. All had a good week. It was productive. It was good. What happened? We had an inter-vacation time. You know what I mean? Vacation time, for those of y'all who don't know, right? For the Easter. Supposed to mean more time to listen to podcasts. But my experience has been that when you go into vacation mode, less people is listening to podcasts. Now, I put in it that it's an also the commute to school and come back from work and all them kind of things. And I know the design, my intention for this podcast is to get you thing to listen to while you're doing other things. I doubt you could sit down and take 2 hours out of your busy day to listen to this. The idea is while you're doing your little exercising, you're gardening, you're dropping and picking up to school, your daily commute, while the meeting boring and you're looking like you're having your AirPods, but you're listening to them, but it's really me you're listening to. That's what the thing designed for. But somehow people don't listen for the holidays, so let me make a deal now. Because as a man, I go and get unionized and I go and start to ask for holiday and things. I see other podcasters taking holiday break, holiday vacation. I listening and all of a sudden in the end of the episode it's been announcing that they're not having no podcast and all kind. I don't understand it. So if it is we in listening during the holidays, only let mankind rest now. But let me tell you what I'm here to do too, right? I had an interesting weekend this weekend gone, right? And one of the things I had the pleasure and privilege of doing is going back to one of my old schools to talk. You know what I mean? It's always a nice thing when you get a call from a school that you went to come back and talk to the students. You know, it's make you feel like you accomplished something in life. So I get a call from Nigel Nicholson of Star Broadcasting. Yeah, my old broadcast. That's where I learned broadcasting and thing, I don't know if I was making him shame. I don't know if I was making him proud, but I was glad to get a call from him to come and talk to some students who in a TV course and to talk about podcasting and YouTube, and neither of which, both of them are learning as I go along. But as I always do, anybody who interested or willing to listen, I always willing to share everything that I have. I never really feel I have much to offer, but whatever little I have to offer, I could offer. So I get a chance and I went and do a presentation to them about what podcasting is, how I got into it, how I choose the topics, and I had a nice little plan, from a Sunday morning. I've been lecturing for a long time now, so I kind of know how to plan out a little session. And on top of lecturing, I have 2 hours of content to provide people every week. So I feel I could plan out a little session and say, all right, well, when I see this amount of slides, I know that's supposed to take an hour or 2, and I could go through it, you know what I mean? And as a man could find filler, you can't talk me. But I went in there with a group of, I don't know if it's called youths. I don't know if it's youths, people my age, people a little older than me, some very young. And the energy in the room was something else. I had to close down my laptop. Them slides was not working. It was not cut out for the environment. And I think that just at one point it was just like, listen, what questions will I have for me? I don't have this thing perfected. I'm trying to figure this out as I go along. But what are the questions you have for man? One of the things about talking to people, right? This had nothing to do with podcasting or anything like that. Just food for thought, right? Anything that you're doing that other people want to start doing, this make you look real accomplished, It's not real, because the imposter syndrome thing is real, and sometimes, anything that you're doing or anything that you accomplish or working on, you kind of know what you want it to be and what you want it to look like. So this podcast doesn't sound the way I want it to sound yet. It don't look the way I want it to look. It don't have the viewers or the listeners I want it to have yet. But needless to say, I come in here every week and I'm showing up every Tuesday, right? I come in here and I'm showing up and I'm putting it out. So somebody who on episode 0 or on -1, because they're now looking to make the investment in time, money, and energy to start, I underestimate sometimes what it looks like when you have several episodes already. Like I was trying to talk to them about what it took for me to start the first episode, and listen, I don't want to make this a podcast about podcasting. And what I'm really talking about is having an idea and starting on your idea. That's what I'm talking about, right? Whatever you're trying to accomplish in life, replace it with the word podcasting here. But I remember when I was trying to do episode 1, boy. And I say salute to my wife up front, you know what I mean? And she's supportive bad enough. Because one day I was home here and I want to do this thing, boy, and it's how people are talking to, are trying to see, all right, who I could do with this, who I could get to be a co-host. I didn't think I could do it without a co-host, you know, and I still wonder about that sometimes, and maybe that will change. But I remember going up on Frederick Street, had some kind of a music store. I didn't even know which store it is now. So I've been thinking about it. Somebody who sell music thing and I buy a mic, I get a little mixing board. I went by Caribbean Entertainment Technology, salute boy Ryan Ramchandani. And I get everything I could figure out how to use to start a podcast based on what I see on YouTube and stuff. And I don't want to lie to you, the mixing board, just to start talking into the mic and hearing myself, it must take me about 3 hours to figure out what I was doing wrong. I couldn't, it had no power button. I don't know what to do. I was confused. And recording into a program named GarageBand on the computer and all that. And I record that first episode. The first episode might be just a little over an hour. I might record that about 6 times before I put it out. Say over thing, try this, the thing ain't recording properly. I ain't like how a song, I hate my own voice. I couldn't stand it. I still can't stand it sometimes. And the reality is this, right? One of the students had asked me, she said, listen, I understand what you're saying about content and equipment and things, but my real question is, how you get started? You know what I mean? And I hate to be that cliche person who giving you nothing when you ask me a question. And I want to give you something tangible to take away anytime I talk to people. And I was telling the girl, I don't want to be cliche, I said, but just the only way to start is to start. You had to understand that the first time you do something, probably not going to be the greatest time you do it. You have to do it real plenty times to get better at it. I don't feel I am there yet. I feel I have so much work to do to get where I want to be. But what I'm not willing to do, despite all the self-doubt and all the issues I face, as I tell you, stay patient, because as soon as I finish an episode, I just go outside and say, babe, that's the worst episode I ever record. I said that is garbage. It's boring. It's not all the time. And then I get feedback from people saying they enjoy it. So it's just, I just wanted to put that up front because it was something that stood out to me talking to people who not started on the journey yet or whatever. Content creation was the main thing in that room. But for you, wherever it is you're trying to get started and think, boy, listen, nothing to beat runs on the board, Nothing to beat runs on the board. And if you get 1 run, you could make 2. And if you get to 2, you could make 200. And the way I look at this thing is I make mistakes. Episode will be great. I just say wrong thing. I call people wrong name. I mispronounce people's name. But there's 1 episode out of 10,000. So I don't think if I'm going to be judged in the end of this, let me be judged on the body of work and not the individual things that I do or not do, or was funny or not funny and that kind of thing. So that was just my little talk there. And I was glad to be a part of what Nigel and they do. And I get a chance to meet Chester Sombrano, who is the facilitator for the whole course. I believe Nigel said the course is 12 weeks long or 10 weeks long. And he preparing them for being able to present on TV and be on camera and things. Something I seriously considering doing, right? Because I'm not good at this being on camera thing, a little scruffy. I want to salute to Ronald Rosales, the greatest barber they have in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm going to need Ronald to start a trim from about 8, 9 o'clock, you know what I mean? But on the topic of starting, I realized that I'm talking to people and telling them the only way to get started is to start, and it's a real thing I'm sticking on. And one of them things I'm sticking on is I keep saying that one of these days I want to do a podcast where I get to play some artists from up the islands or outside of Trinidad who had a major influence on my love for calypso and soca music. So in the interest of, or in taking my own advice to get started, let me start it now. Oh God. Hillary.
Jill was playing cricket with me on a pasta one day. She bowling like sobers and I couldn't get the ball played. and outswingers that puzzle me. Every time that I make a stroke, I missing she. She bowl it slow, I on my toe to blister she. But when I play for her break, it was googly. She tell me, hey, how you missing so? You used to brag before. If you could handle me, hit it and let me see. Hit it in the corner, hit it in the cover, hit it in mid-wicket. Hit it, hit it, hit it. I take new position and waiting for the ball to come. But when Jill deliver, she make me look like a dum-dum. She take the pace off, I went forward much too fast. I slip up and I tumble down all in the grass. She laugh and tell me, get up man and try once more, to see if you could hit my ball to make a score. She tell me, hit it, oh you're missing so. You used to brag before. If you could handle me, hit it and let me see. Hit it in the corner, hit it in the cover, hit it in mid-wicket. Hit it, hit it, hit it. If Jill did continue like that, my wicket had to fall. But she make a mistake and I start attacking the ball. She see I was in trouble, so she cool, she hand and introduce a ball they call the China man. When she do that, I take my bat and press she tell. But I will never forget how I almost fail when she tell me, hit it, how you missing so? You used to brag before. If you could handle me, hit it and let me see. Hit it in the corner, hit it in the cover, hit it in mid-wicket. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it.
Hey, that's the voice of the great Gabby boy. It's a bad one, you know. I could take a little bit more of your time and play a quick next Gabby again, all in mind.
Left, right, in the government boost, the government boost. Left, right, in the government boost, the government boost. Left, right, in the government boost, the government boost. Left, right, in the government boost, the government boost.
Is it necessary to have so much soldiers in this small country? No, 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 no. Is it necessary to shine soldier boots with taxpayers' money? No, 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 no. Well, don't tell me, tell Tommy, he put them in St. Lucie. Unemployment high and the treasury low, and he buying boots to cover soldier toe. I see them
Boots and more boots.
on the feet of young trigger happy recruits. I see them boots and more boots, marching, threatening army troops. Tell Tom I say that what and do. Got to see but me and you, and most of all the children, and stop them soldiers from marching.
Left, right, in the government boost, the government boost. Left,
left, right, left, right. Let me tell you something. Tune where I fall in love with the art form, fall in love with the genre of music. The great Anthony Carter, Gabby out of Barbados. I just wanted to take a quick minute and play some Gabby. You know what else I do this weekend? I went and see a play. Now, I had to give my wife plenty credit in this episode, you know, because I, as a man, don't like to leave home, right? I have a very bad habit of wanting to stay home, and I have a list of shows that I watch over and over. I don't know if I'm introverted or if I'm a homebody. I don't know what is the situation, but I've tried to make my home as comfortable as I could make it. Maybe just so that I don't have to leave. I'm comfortable coming home and watch The Irishman or Flight or Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad or one of the many, many movies that I watch over and over. Happy coming home and do that every day. And just recalibrate and get ready for what the next day going and present. But the woman say we had to go and play. I say, all right, I go in the play. I coming out of the house. I put on something nice. I put on a little dan. She put on a little frou-frou. And we come out. So we went and we see a play by the name of This Little Piggy. Tired. Is this little piggy or this little piggy tired? Wait till I'm to the little piggy. This Little Piggy Tired, I think it was. Let me make sure I write information for you. It was in Cipriani Labour College. And it is, written or produced or directed by Deborah Buku Mason and Richard Ragubar Singh. Now, these are names around the theater scene for a long time. And you kind of know what you're going to get when you go to one of their plays, right? But I was pleasantly surprised. Not to say that I expected anything bad, but you tend to find that a lot of these plays are built around, how to put it, little village row and man and woman business. And I guess that's the ones I sell the most. And to tell you the truth, the last play I went and see was Mary Could Dance. And that would have been in Napa many, many, many years ago. I don't even think we get to stay to finish See Mary Could Dance. But that play was a really, really good play that I'm sure they will bring back many, many times in the future. But this Little Piggy Tired, I guess, is a play on the regular man and woman business that tend to be presented in theater in Trinidad and Tobago and the current affairs. I like how they put it together because I thought I was going to watch a play about Kizelle Jackson and Watson Duke, which is similar to what I always see, not NCW, Street Cred. They have a fellow named Street Cred on Facebook who is like he's put together little skits. Wherever it is happening in the week or any big issue happen, I don't know how he's put together so quick. Salute to Street Cred, but he's put together a little skit of where it is happening. And I find this play did a good job of putting together its own story, its own unique story, but splicing in a little bit of Watson Duke and Kizelle Jackson in it, right? So there's a few things I had to tell you about, right? Cipriani Labour College is a great venue for where plays and things concerned. It's very, very comfortable, easy to get to a central location. But I know that the play would have moved from Napa, they went Sapa, and then they did Cipriani Labour College. So I had to assume that Cipriani had to be one of the smaller venues they would have done. But I was again pleasantly surprised to see that the place was almost full. You know, it's kind of depressing when you say you're going out at night and the place kind of empty. Like, that's one of the reasons I like to travel and go to restaurants, you know, like looking busy to see if I get a cheap flight to leave here for Easter. It ain't looking too hopeful. But that's one of the reasons I like to run and go to Miami and things, because when you go out on a Friday night, the restaurant full, people looking happy, you know what I mean? It's have a vibe and an energy, and sometimes you don't get that here much. There are a few places you might get, like town restaurants just have it all the time. You used to find it in Jenny's or Jenny's and Salt too, you used to see it, but sometimes when you go to restaurants here, the place kind of half dead. I don't know if all you have that experience here. But that wasn't the case at all with This Little Piggy. I need to keep saying This Little Piggy with DLP. DLP sounding Polish too. This wasn't the scene with this play at all. When we went there, the place was full. We got there just in time to start. And I had to salute them as well because they start on time. The thing say 8:30 and they start exactly 8:30. When it was 8:30, them lights dim down. The credits start to play. First time I ever see credits roll before something starts. I know that usually happen after, but they start the credits rolling. And it was go time. I want to salute. I was a little surprised that the play only had 6 people in total. For the whole play, it just had 6 actors. But you see that fellow they call Andrew Friday? He bad. He's a bad one. So remember what Jada? Jada was telling me that is his partner and he is a pressman. I don't want to take a pressman too much credit, because pressman is this gal beside themselves when they start to say good things about them, But he's the one who used to call in the radio station and play Jack Warner and them kind of thing. I know his face, But he bad. He entertaining, he funny. There are a few awkward things happening. Should I say spoiler alert? Spoiler alert. I'm not going to spoil the play, right? I don't want to spoil the play for anybody. But there are a few awkward things that happen. Like, when you go to play, expecting to be quiet and you're expecting the entertainment to be one way, or the discourse and dialogue is something that you come to watch. But there are a few moments within the play that the actors come out and talk to we, the audience, like talking to you, and it's like, what, Molly, you hearing me? It was kind of awkward, but I like how they play on that and make it a part of the production. The actors, you're supposed to say actresses, actresses, I think they do a great job to carry a play that had a pretty full storyline. I'm trying not to sell out much, but it had a pretty full storyline for 6 people alone to carry, and I think it worth the, what's Stacey tell me we pay for it, boy? 200 I guess for the poor seats and 250 for the rich seats. I think it worth it. It worth the little night out. It's entertaining. It mostly on the funny side. You ain't getting much food for thought. It's not that kind of play at all. It's very much a Richard Ragobara sing, or what would have been a Raymond Chukong, may rest in peace, kind of play. But it was worth the night. So the couple things that I will say, right, is you see me, I as a man like to go in my bed early. And I don't think it have any right for any play to be starting at 8:30. When I look back at some of the reports here, it says that for instance, in Napa had a 6:30 start time and a 8:30 start time and thing. I'm feeling like we should I know I complain about this a lot, right? We have a tendency in Trinidad for shows to go too long and to start too late. I don't think we updating with the time. Like, we used to go cinema at 4:30 and watch 2 movies. I remember them days. And you're going to thing, and for all of you used to go there and hold hand and thing and make love whole time. Well, you might not see no movies, but we used to see 2 movies. You watch a full movie, they had an intermission, which could be about 15-20 minutes, and then the next movie start. So you used to go in cinema 4:30, and when you come out, it's dark, and they go and make love on the promenade, right? Now, those days are over. I don't think, like, people like to say people attention span short, right? And maybe that's the best way to describe it, but I think people just, I guess attention span short is a kind of ADHD thing where you can't concentrate on one thing for too long, but we certainly still consume that same amount of entertainment, if not more, because you may not sit down to watch 2 movies, or even a movie that's 3.5 hours, you mightn't sit down and watch that, but you find that you're on TikTok and you're watching 10 seconds and 1 minute long videos, and you could end up doing that for 3.5 hours very, very easily if you don't pay attention to what's going on around here, and more so for younger people than for us. So I feel like we have an opportunity to change the way we present entertainment locally here by ensuring that you give people the opportunity to swipe up. The swiping up is where the action is. What you have to do is create entertainment around or market it in a way where what you're doing is getting people like me who lazy out of the house, right? That's the first step. I don't want to leave home. I don't want to dress up. I don't want to do none of them things. But I felt like if the play had started earlier, let me say you have a play starting 5 o'clock, right? Just to say in the catering for me alone, you start 5 or 6 o'clock or earlier time. Then you're creating an opportunity for me to catch a play in an hour and 15 minutes. I out of there, hour and a half or however long it lasts, and I could go to dinner somewhere else. You know what I mean? And make a night out. That's my swipe up. I can watch one video for 3 hours, but I could do a little bit here and a little bit here and let the entertainment continue in a different way. I guess if you start at 8:30, I could, the thing said dinner and a movie, right? Dinner and a play, not movie and a dinner. So maybe we could organize ourselves better and go to dinner 5-6 o'clock and then go to a play at 8:30. But at my age, the way my digestion system set up, right? The play would not be sold out if I had it before I go there, because I was clearing that room. There's a lot of room clearing going. I had to be real sure. You could imagine I go in Apsaras and get some curry up in me and then go to see this little piggy could what? It have nothing happening there. Everybody would have to leave out of there. But I just feel like the entertainment producers or those who make in the entertainment space we had to adjust to that a little bit. Shorter, tighter events where it had less time wasting and them kind of thing. Congrats for them for starting on time. The intermission period was exact. I can't remember how much time they said we had for intermission, but the man was ready to roll after the intermission as well. So that's my only real thing to say. Also, the people who were in the play were supposed to be Leslie Ann Levine, Zomari Tanker, Andrew Friday, who was amazing. Jaron Rockus Remy and Kayla Nihal. And they said newcomer Benita Wilson. Kayla Nihal, Benita Wilson had a real short part in the play, if I remember right. Kayla Nihal was great. Everybody was great. But what I didn't see Rockus at all. And I saw him in the credits and all that. So I don't know if it was a night off for him. But I suspect I know which role he was supposed to play. And there was a guy who fit in for him. And I didn't get the guy name at all. I wish I had it because he was really, really good. So he was very, very funny. That dude is naturally funny. And I know that will help when I come here and I say that dude. But when all you go and all you check it out and all you see the not Rockers, that guy is very, very funny. So I miss Rockers. I would have liked to see him in the play and see how he did and that kind of thing. But I just want to start by giving them a little credit, man. Kudos to them. It's a great play. He had a great time. He come out. And after, you know what I mean? When you get me out of the house now, I'm bad, you know, as a man, I so like to come out. But when I'm outside, I'm outside. So when we leave, you know, we're so hungry because we, like two fools, leave home and go on and watch you play with no cash in my pocket. And of course, the concession stand downstairs only taking cash. So by the time we leave there, we're hungry. And I really want to leave there and head down in the penka and let me scatter out myself. Like in the young days, I want to wine and sweat. But I'm so hungry. We end up stopping. There's a new spot in Brentwood Plaza. Stacy, tell me the name. I think it's Champs. Champs Deli is Champ Deli on Champs or something, right? And I find it was good too. The kitchen was open. That is always a plus. It's right next to Raw Fitness upstairs, Brentwood. So the kitchen was still open and we must reach down there after 10, 11 or whatever it was. The food came real quick. The staff was attentive, but boy, old people problems again. That place was loud. I find myself like I want to say you could turn down that little bit. The place loud. So I see in there turning into another version of La Penka soon. Or by hangers where, you know, when you have a little bar or lounge is what they call it. But it quickly turned into a fete. That happening. So I will give you the review because I will be fetting there at some point in this life. I'll be passing through there and take a fete. And then I decided I'll pass down La Penka still because I always heading down in the Penka. Me and a pad always rolling down in the Penka. And I say, boy, let me go La Penka with Stacy and let she see what it's about. So we pass down in the Penka after we take a laugh, wine and a chuck. And when we come home, we're properly tired, not worth nothing to ourselves. Which is what the idea is, right? You're supposed to come out of the house and enjoy yourself and them kind of things. So, as I'm talking about friends and lime and them kind of thing, I saw an article this week that I wanted to highlight. At some point, we will get to news and thing, right? Or a little tune out, right? At some point, we will get to what happened in the week. But I needed to take a quick minute to salute a friend of mine from back in the day. I'm talking about a long time friend, you know, since Tranquil days. Then to UE days, then to, you know what I mean? I saw an article this week, headline, Trini making moves with LinkedIn. Did I say LinkedIn like Antonio Prescott? Trini making moves with LinkedIn. Desiree Forte Perez works to make underrepresented groups more visible. I'm a partner, you know, from back in the day. So I had to highlight this, right? It's by Gillian Calise. Being curious about the issues that matter and helping others are what makes TNT-born Desiree Forte Perez tick. Even from her days as a UE undergraduate, her friends refer to her as a joiner, an avid participant in almost every activity she encountered. Let me look through this and see if this thing truth or not. Say, boy, because I can tell you some of these things, I want to know if that's truth. All right. They say Forte Perez is a sales manager, strategic marketer, and the ongoing diversity and inclusion ambassador at Miami Fort Lauderdale with LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, the advertising side of the online platform LinkedIn, owned by Microsoft. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network connecting potential employers with potential employees. Based at LinkedIn for almost 5 years as a strategic marketer with 18 years of experience, We getting old, boy. There's really 18 years experience. Forte Perez leads a team of 6 media sales professionals, which offers advertising services for the brand's biggest customers in technology and finance. Prior to that, she was involved in strategic operation at Facebook and worked at the financial services giant, American Express, Citibank, and Morgan Stanley. A quick minute just to say salute to Desiree and to take whatever credit I could take for being, you know what I mean? Thank you for being a friend. I feel like I contribute. Once you're my friend and you're doing good in this life, I feel like I contribute to some of the success. So I was really looking through this article to see if my name would have called anywhere. But it didn't. But I wanted to take a minute to say that and salute to her and continuing to make strides in spaces. You know, it's always good to see Trinis out there doing well, representing the country. And it's even better when those are people who you know and who you grow up with and who you see, you know what I mean? Who you see grow from strength to strength. So that is always positive. So salute to her. Talking about Trinis representing Trinis abroad. Olympic cyclist Justin Philip has been placed on 300,000 bail after he faced a magistrate on Monday on charges of possession of a gun, 4 rounds of ammunition, and marijuana. Listen. It's a thing to make joke out of, it's a thing that's serious, right? And I've never come across anything that's serious enough not to make joke out of. But I mean, I really feel sorry for the brother. I mean, you know, call me judgmental or whatever, right? But when you display certain behaviors or tendencies that I see him from a distance, I don't know, just saying from nowhere, you know, I just know him as a supporter, watching him ride, and you know what I mean? And pause. You know, I just as a Trinidad fan, a patriot who just want to see Trinidad flag fly and we win thing, I feel like Justin is one of the very few Olympic athletes who we used to have a lot of faith in that looking like they go win something. It didn't harm that the fellow was a good looking fellow, so the women and them say and they did like to him. So he's one of the top. If you had to put a list of Olympians' name, he would be in the top 10 Olympians in terms of name recognition that at least we had in the last decade or two. Remember the last person who we had who medal would be Keshon, and before that I believe would be Atto or the relay team. So just saying up there as one of the more popular people, I don't think he ever got a medal in the Olympics, but he was certainly one of our most hopeful. So I was a little sad to see when they said just saying, I mean, guns and ammunition and weed. It kind of makes me realize, like, we was in a roadblock, like how they catch Justin. Who's the officer who pull aside Justin and Justin say, hey, Justin, how you going, boy? Go ahead. What has happened? I feel like something happened during this pullover that lead to this search and thing for them to find weed and guns and ammunition and thing, but at the other point in time where I see just saying, I mean, to be an Olympic athlete, I always remember with Atto, back in Atto days. If people remember back then, a lot of people didn't like Atto, you know. A lot of people find Atto was too arrogant, and he and his father, I think Guy Bolden was his father, they find him too arrogant and he's talked too, you know, bossy and them kind of thing. People didn't like that. People like a humble winner or a humble competitor. But I think to be at the top level, you had to have a little bit of that I better than everybody who in front of me kind of attitude. I mean, it's the thing highly competitive and you're competing against the best in the world. But just from my own observations, how Justin used to move and thing, like as soon as the notoriety and the success start coming in, the Antons and them start blinging a little more and a little higher, and you know what I mean, a certain amount of bravado come into the thing. And not saying that will always lead to that, but when you have that preceding this, sometimes this is be a little less surprising than it would be if you just hear Keshon all of a sudden caught with, you know what I mean, the image this signals something to me sometimes. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that he going through this. I hope for him, but I know I hope for him. I just hope he alright and mentally he good and them kind of thing. They say Philip, who was represented by attorney Cedric Neptune, was also granted 30,000 cash bail as alternative to the 300,000 surety. He was ordered to surrender his Trinidad and Tobago and U.S. passports and report to the Superior Police Station every Wednesday. The item sent for forensic analysis. So, I mean, what the most you could hope for now is that no gun can come back with no kind of problem on it or no additional cases and so on. Oh, they're saying here Philip was stopped during a road traffic exercise around the Sir Solomon Hochoy Highway at Gandhi Village, Davie. Police allege that the scent of marijuana was detected coming from the vehicle, which was searched. But the little ganja not legal. Like if all they smell weed, all can just like I feel like they should like just in passing. I have some weird theories about them, these kind of things now. All they had to bear with me a little bit, right? I find like when you commit a crime, always stay with me, right? I know this going to sound as dumb as it could possibly sound, but stay with me. When you commit a crime, part of the trial should be what good things you did too. Right? I'll just bear with me a little bit. So if I go somewhere and I thief something, they must say, boy, you're thieving, and the sentence for this thieving is 5 years. But let's pull up Corey's record. This man recorded a lot of podcasts. He helped other people start podcasts. He lectured. Look how he helped people get a degree. He's a man like this, smile, a pleasant fella. All your good work should also be presented before the court. And let me balance this thing out. Now, I know that does nothing for the victims of the crimes. But I'm saying all this to say that Vybz Kartel should be free. You just stay with me here, right? Stay with my reasoning, right? I'm sorry for the family of the people who would have lost their life and, that Vybz Kartel was accused of conspiring to take or taking or whatsoever it is, right? But I find when you watch Kartel and you say, all right, all the evidence showed that you did this thing. You had your guns and you call your guns boots and whatever the thing is, and who had your gun and you say lizard at this and whatever, and you call the shot on a man, right? Nothing can bring back the man. If somebody had to be punished, right? But you must go back and look at. Go down now, come up back, me baby. Where you love me, I beg you put it on me. When you hear them types of things, you must say, all right, let me temper this thing, right? You have to be punished. But if it's life in prison for murder and conspiring to murder, that song alone is supposed to take off at 3 months off it. And when you go back to more and more songs like that and more lyrics, just minus, balance this thing off. It had to be something. So I'm hoping that a system like that could be in place for Jussein, because Jussein bring me plenty joy and say, can I make an argument that he young? How old Jussein is? I'm looking for some kind of excuse. You know, Jussein might be a young fella, misguided. You know what I mean? The life of an athlete and a superstar. It's not easy to reintegrate into normal life as having a job. You know what I mean? So he might have taken, what, he's 31. I can't use the naive and young argument. Whatever it is, I hope that Jussein Phillips is alright. I'm sorry to hear that he involved himself in this kind of thing. And I mean, the weed is one thing, but boy, oh God, the gun and them kind of things. Like, why would you have an illegal weapon? Is it time to revisit the FUL thing again and make it easier for people who, because just saying nothing to protect, right? I mean, Manzon's not cheap. And then he's a public fella, public profile, and them thing here, yeah, let's not grabbing at straw, trying to find some kind of defense here. Like, I feeling like if I is, who is the attorney? Cedric Neptune. I feel like Cedric Neptune now. But maybe it's a good time to revisit it. Like I was looking at this situation in the States with this another school shooting. And these things not just getting more graphic, they getting much more I saying publicized, right? But what I really mean is like you could see so much video evidence of the things on the social media now compared to what you'd have seen 10 years ago. Because I saw a video posted today that was showing you how the police got at the shooter and neutralized her, right? And this time it was a woman who went in and a girl who went in and do the shooting and that kind of thing. And I understand where the argument is, right? Because guns don't kill people, people kill people, and it's people who make bad decisions. And this is one of those things that is a plane crash versus a car crash, right? You're much more likely to get in a car accident on a day-to-day, but because of how bad a plane crash is, that is the one you will remember and be more fearful of, right? So these attacks in schools in the States, it's not that they're so frequent. It's just that they're so jarring that they become national incidents or international incidents every time they happen, And the discussion around gun control when these things happen or when these things come up, it tends to be polarizing, and you have to be either or, which I tend to not be. I tend to see both sides of the argument, and I feel like if sometimes when you present the side of the argument about gun control, the gun control people or the people who are pro guns tend to shut it down completely by saying that, hey, if the society, the guns will kill people, people kill people, right? But I think US to say it differently, I'm not sure that they have a gun problem. They like guns a lot. But when you have a people problem and you have a mental health problem, or you understand, or you have a frustration problem in a society, then it might not be the best society to give guns carte blanche. You know what I mean? Not saying that weapons should not be available for everybody for whatever amendment, right? If that's your philosophy as a country, that's cool. But you must be able to see the side that people presenting to that, trying to say, hey, we have a people problem here. We have a people problem. We have a problem managing people and people managing their rage and the anger and the fact that they minimized or minimalized or whatever the term is. You have an issue with people in the states where that is concerned. And if that continues to be the case, and people have free reign and easy access to guns, then you could just kind of expect more situations like those. Getting back to Trinidad here, maybe we need to free it up more and get people the gun that they need so that a man like Justin shouldn't have to be walking with an illegal gun. But the whole thing unfortunate. Press for Justin, you know what I mean? From now on, when I don't know what to say and I can't find defense for people, the new thing gonna be the Erla name again? I'm taking the Erla route. Pray for him, man. Pray for him. So, more stories, moving out from Justin and on to more serious matters. I don't know if it's more serious matters or other serious matters, but I see some here saying, Cocoa in the sun. Tobago Resorts ex-manager sues over dismissal. Stay with me, right? This is by Jada Lautu from the Newsday. Shocking claims of hiring escorts for the boss, Obia, questionable money transfers, and off-the-books payments at a prominent Tobago hotel have been made by one of its former managers who is suing the hotel and its owner for wrongful dismissal and defamation. The man lost his work and he decided to sue the people, and he said all hell is to break loose if I still lost my work in this place, right? Eric Fenier, I hope I pronounced that right, Eric, 51, has made startling claims in his lawsuits against the hotel magnate John Jeffries, and wants to be compensated to the tune of millions for the work he did at Cocoa Reef Resort for the 25 years. You okay, 25 years, Eric? All right. Fanier testified at a hybrid trial at the Waterfront Judicial Center in Port of Spain on Monday before Justice Frank Sipasad. The trial continues today. At the start of the hearing, Jeffries' attorney Martin George told the judge his client was not of sound mind, so he would not be able to testify. In Fenier's defense, or Jeffries' attorney said that, okay. In Jeffries' defense, he said he was recruited at the age of 26, moving up from fast food and beverage manager to general manager and director of the resort before he was fired in May 2022 when he was told his position was being made redundant because of economic consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. Hold on a minute. Hold on. When your position is made redundant, is that the same as getting fired? I don't think them two things is the same, you know. I think getting retrenched or getting laid off is a different thing from getting fired. Your position made redundant basically means that an organization no longer needs that position. So here we're going on. We as a company, we hire drivers and things, but we no longer have any contracts to do driving and we have nothing to pick up nowhere. So we're going to sell the cars and we're going to make all the drivers redundant. The position is no longer on the structure. And for that, you will be retrenched, and it have specific laws around retrenchment based on the minimum wage act in this country. Some of them we'll get to when we talk about Digicel in a little while, but that is how it goes. If you're a manager, it should be written into your contract, especially senior management like that. It may be written into your contract what happens in a case like that. You should. Other than that, you'll get treated as a long-term permanent employee, and it will be based on the minimum. The minimum wage act is basically set a minimum for everything, right? So you have to give somebody a minimum 45 days notice. You have to give them a minimum of 2 weeks pay for every completed year under 5 years. And I believe 3 weeks pay for every completed year under over 5 years. If they're over 5 years at the current rate of salary. or whatever new negotiated rate. So in the public sector, for instance, where negotiations BL behind the rate, you have to bring the rate of pay to the person up to date. And then you will calculate the severance. If the negotiations are done, whenever it's done, after you still have money for that person, you have to pay them based on the current salary, which may not be negotiated at the time of retrenchment. But they seem to be using the word fired here. And those two things don't mean the same thing. He fired and he was made redundant. But okay. Jeffries, there's the owner, right? Jeffries is the owner. He lives in Bermuda and owns hotels in Bermuda and luxury apartments in Cuba. Man, that's what all about. In his testimony, Fenier claims he took care of Jeffries' wives. One of 7 wives and companions. Wow. While they were at the resort, secured very young, slender, single women without children as personal assistants who had to have sex with Jeffries during his travels. These people are not opening in Cookery. Found them on my resume. wait, no, sorry, I'm right. Where else? They had sex with Jeffries during his travel, arranged escorts for him, and also handled his personal affairs. Jeffries. Between Jeffries and Fenier here, right? I don't understand. I don't understand why exactly I read it. Did this man go to court and say one of his jobs was to secure escorts for his boss in a country where securing escorts is illegal? I'm not understanding. No. I need legal help in this thing. I need legal help in this. Somebody to help me understand issues like these in this podcast, because I can't. I'm not getting it right. Let me just read it again, right? Just in case I missed something here. In his testimony, Fenier, who's the manager of Cocoa Reef, said he had to take care of Jeffries, who's the owner. So the manager had to take care of the owner's, one of your 7 wives and companions while they were at the resort. And he had to secure very young, slender, single women without children as personal assistants who had to have sex. This song ain't good during his travels. Arrange escorts for him and also handle his body. I had to clutch my pearls and clutching my pearls. He claimed that over the years he dedicated his life to the success of the resort. It didn't sound like the resort alone, Fenier. It didn't sound like you dedicated a lot of successes here. Yeah, it's bad. And has been promised a US $1.5 million payment as part of his pension benefits. This is what I mean. If you promise 1.5 million as part of your pension benefits, but for some reason you severed before you or retrenched, you go ahead. It should be stated how much of this you're supposed to get, if not all, at the point in time. Right? But anyway, Fenier also claimed he was promised a parcel of land. Fenier, you was getting high on your own supply. Every one of them slender girls you was getting, like you was keeping one for yourself. He also claimed he was promised a parcel of land to build his own home in Tobago, but that too was not fulfilled. Your contract for this is part of your compensation, like they part of your package. He's also seeking compensation for libel. And you see, time for me to stop immediately. You see, as man started to talk about libel. Oh, everything I just said was alleged, and none of it is true. And produce a part of his court documents as an email which suggests his performance as general manager resulted in significant losses at the resort. Okay, so that is the libelous part. They say you're losing money. During his testimony on Monday, George grilled Fenier on his claims that he procured escorts and young personal assistants for his former boss. George, I like the question he asked. George said, you knew you were doing something wrong and unlawful? Fenier said, Fenier was also accused of, no, I want to see the answer to this question, Newsday. If he asked him if he knew he was doing something, what he say? All he didn't tell him what he answered that. They went on to say Fenier was also accused of wanting Jeffries to be indebted to him. You saw him as an easy target. During his cross-examination, Fenier's attorney Terence Barrett questioned whether George was getting his instructions since he said his client was not of sound mind. In his claim, Fenier claimed that he was required to perform certain rituals for the resort's owner and use of his foreign bank accounts for under-the-radar transfers of U.S. funds, since Jeffries could not deposit into his Cuban accounts because of U.S. sanctions. Let me tell you something. As always knock Black American culture, right? Because I don't understand it, and I don't understand why black people in America is behave the way they behave sometimes, and some of the things that they tolerate. Some of the things they tolerate, I can understand, and some of the things they make big issues of is make it even harder for me to understand how they have tolerance for some things and not others. Like this big issue over white people can't say the N word. I was listening to Joe Budden podcast this week, and a white producer on the podcast by the name of Parks, who is very, very funny and talking, they asked him about comparing albums, right? And Jay-Z and Kanye West have an album that, to me, I know big hip hop man, but that is one of the best albums I ever hear. And Kanye and Jay-Z is geniuses for coming up with these songs that was on that, like New Slaves and them. The album bad, but the name of the album is Niggas in Paris. And they have this white man who's a hip hop producer who's certified hip hop. And he had to say, well, people in Paris. You know what I mean? At least he was smart enough to edit himself, because the backlash on that was so huge. But I don't understand how that is the bigger issue. Like, can they say this or can they say that? And some of the things that black people is let slide is crazy to me. But that is in America, that is. But one of the things I might have to agree with them here is that I find they have this snitching culture, right? Or non-snitching culture, that if you grow up in the streets, me and you commit crime together, right? We set up a little thing, we run in a little block, we cooking with a little product, and we selling and thing. And both of us get caught. They say it's against street laws to go and inform on a man, because they have a thing called the prisoner's dilemma they used to teach us in school, where the police set up the thing in such a way where they make it in your best interest to rat or snitch on your partner, right? So you could walk free if you give this story on your partner, and your partner go do all the time, right? And that's what they be talking about. You can't be a snitch on them kind of things if two we committing crime together. This reminded me of this Fannie and Jeffrey situation. Like, you was working you was collecting your pay. You start there at 26, you get promoted all the way to the man in charge of the resort. You work there for how much a year? You get all the man hoes. You know who had to be slim, who slender, what race they had to be, if they're trained or not trained. When time to come to lost your work now, you remember every promise this man make to you. And you're trying to make sure now that this man, you know what I mean? You're trying to make sure that he go down for his kind of thing. I don't like this kind of snitching thing. I find too early should only working on a result, or they couldn't go downstairs in the bar and talk about this. So you decide that you're gonna air out all the man literal dirty laundry and tell us exactly why the place called Cocoa Reef. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but this is all this is very, very very Trinidadian. This is very much us. I'm not surprised to hear this. I remember in the early days of this podcast, I wish I could remember episodes to tell you what to go back and look for and them kind of thing. But as a man is forget. As a man is can't remember. But there was a very popular business owner and construction magnate who accusations of along similar lines were made that I was talking about in our podcast. Really, like, some of these things is very much Trinidadian. I even know about very powerful men, very powerful older men. You tend to find that some of these things run through. The thread runs straight through the very powerful older men. You know what I mean? And this situation seemed to be no different. So, prayers for everybody involved. I just want to pray in true Erla style. I just want to say a prayer for Fanny, a prayer for Jeffries. I hope everybody okay. I hope all the girls who are affected in this thing, you know what I mean? If there's some settlement to be made, I hope there's somebody run some kind of percentage these girls' way, because to me, if you sever the man who's got the hose, then you're no more linked to the hose, and the hose lost the income too. I mean, them have 45 days, or them have any kind of, you know what I mean, pension plan, or anybody promise them land or anything. I mean, sometimes you have to take care of people. We have to take care of one another better than this. You know what I mean? You're talking about man and woman business. I want to take a moment to salute again the first house husband. Where's called? When a woman, the president wife, they called the first lady. So Christine Kangaloo husband, where is called the first man? Because we had woman president before, but we never had no first man before. So I want to just salute His Excellency Kenwin Garcia. You know what I mean? The man says he's a private man all his life. He used to work he was an attorney for a long time. They're saying that his father was Anthony Garcia, right? But I'm watching him here. From here and Garcia looking same age, you know what I mean? But all right, I say father was Anthony Garcia, so come from family that is known and thing, and it's well documented here that the greatest president in the history of Trinidad and Tobago is great Christine Kangaloo. Right? So I want to they say first gentleman. He said there is going to be a challenge. I was saying to Her Excellency this morning, now let us sink in for a while, right? How much are you willing to call up every day, and you have to call your wife Her Excellency when you go in public? You say Her Ex. That's why I'm going to say from now on, Her Excellency. From now on, is no more Stacy. It's Her Black Excellency. That's what we're going with. He was saying Her Excellency just this morning. My head is spinning because I have all of these responsibilities. Garcia, start bad here. No? Yes, I don't like what you're talking here. I have all these responsibilities and I continue to have to discharge to my clients. Is Jeffrey's discharging the client? And then I have to get my head all around the responsibilities of the first gentleman. But Her Excellency and I have always supported each other 110% throughout our marriage, and I expect that I will have her support on. Brother, she not on you. This woman is the president. We talking about you will have her support. You on your own, my brother. You on your own. But listen, in all seriousness, I had to talk about my boys Jude and Naldo on the Alternative Perspective podcast. Make sure to check them fellas out whenever they decide to record a podcast, because like is anything goes. You know what I mean? All of a sudden it's just nothing this week. But I hear them talking about them fellas and them don't like Christine Kangaloo. That fella say she a blasting hypocrite. The greatest president we ever had, you know. And I understand the reasoning, you know what I mean? I understand the reasoning, but I mean, one of the things that I enjoyed our podcast, I talk about them all the time, and it's again my favorite podcast to take in on a weekly basis. And I like the way they break down issues, and I think they have the right name, the Alternative Perspective, because they both Jude and Naldo tend to debate issues from slightly different points of view. But I think with our intention to do two things: to distill the issue as well as give their point of view, which I always appreciate, because I always tell them anytime I talk to them, a lot of the issues that they talk about, I don't understand well enough to talk about, and I always turn to them for a better understanding of it. So when they were talking about the issue where Christine Kangaloo was a PNM back in the day, or I don't know if you could be was a PNM. I don't know if I believe in the idea of was a PNM. I feel once you join a party, is that party. And if you join both party, as far as I'm concerned, he is both party too. You understand? And they were saying, you know, the UNC have a right to feel aggrieved, or the whole population, paraphrasing a little bit, but everybody should feel upset by the fact that the PNM blatantly went and appoint a PNM person in a position that's supposed to be impartial. I think the key difference in my point of view here is that I do not have as much faith in these people or these processes as Jude and Naldo seem to have or want to have. I think they're looking for betterment, and I always salute that, and they want to see the thing run the way it's supposed to run. But the reality is that there's no law preventing anybody from appointing. I mean, Rowley could put Sharon as the president if he wants and be within the law. There's nothing stopping him from putting her there if he decides to put her there. And while, as Jude was saying, the spirit of the Constitution goes against that, I don't have any faith in any of these people to follow the spirit of the Constitution in any way. They will not do it. And my philosophy is this, right? If anybody that they put there, so when they put Paula May Weeks there, I probably will not come here and say that, right? But when they put Paula May Weeks there, it is my assumption that a conversation is had before to confirm her PNM-ship and her allegiances and so on. They are not going to put anybody there who is impartial. Human beings don't struggle with impartiality. It's almost impossible. So they themselves are using the example of Robinson, which is a good example of that. Robinson couldn't possibly be impartial. Robinson, PNM, when they put Robinson as president, when he had already had a history with the UNC. When he won his 2 seats in Tobago, I think it was 17-17-2 or 19-19-2. He joined up with the UNC and gave Pandey power for the first time. And it is my belief that when he do that, them men and them making deal, them men and them calling and saying, 2 seats here, what you gonna do for me? That's just my belief. I have very little faith in politicians to do the right thing or to follow any process. I always say that these politicians who serve, who dare to serve us, although I don't think they know that they're to serve us, is the best and brightest people in the country. Is the best and brightest because them figure out how to get way ahead of people in life in a very short space of time. It's nothing to do with their book sense or anything like that. It's when you say smart men and you say it slow, it's song like if you praise them when you say smart men and you say it fast, you just get the point. This is brightest people they have. So I have zero faith in any president being impartial for any reason, any decision that has to be made. Like they're making a good point that the president is a diplomat most of the time. I think the purpose of the president is not anything of consequence until, well, as they said, until it's of consequences of grave consequence. But I don't have any reason to believe that any one of them will be impartial. They're partial to who paying their salary. And in this country, you can say what you want. The person who paying your salary is the person who put in it there, because they're having conversations about who's supposed to be there, and then they're taking a vote in which they have the majority, and them could decide who they put there and who they will put there. So them person never paying them to me. It don't look any different to me. And as far as the opposition not showing up for ceremony, I don't understand the issue either, because you have somebody there who is clearly not impartial. I don't think if they chose me, who never had a party card in no way, and who's coming out by talk both parties and I'm not voting, none of them can get my vote. As a matter of fact, let me don't say that. Any one of them could get my vote, but for very frivolous things, right? You understand? If you make a good party song, the best election song could get my vote. I'm willing to vote for very frivolous things. You understand? Because them thing more meaningful to me. Like they were saying, Jude was making the point, and I agree with it 100%, that we tend to choose style over substance. And I want to say you're absolutely right. I want to see style. If you're more stylish, you could get my vote, because I have no faith in Ole to provide no kind of substance in these people. I don't know. I don't know if I'm too cynical, or I should be looking forward to something different, or putting down my foot for what is right versus what is wrong. But I do have the mental space and capacity to deal with this every week. Every time I sit down and I try to look at issues to talk about on a weekly basis, I just say, listen, this thing entertaining or not? If it's not entertaining, not making my list, because I fed up. I can't come here and talk about the same things every week and see the same cycle go on over and over and over. It's not for me, because I don't think if Rollers and them had come and choose me and put me as I'm impartial. I don't like none of them. I was never no party person, so I could be there. I don't think Kamala and them would have show up. They was not showing up no matter who they pick, because them themselves know what is the process. The process is talk to the people behind closed doors, make sure they're on your side first, and then put them. And that is exactly what they will do when they're in power, when they get back in power in 2026. Them going to choose somebody who them know is for them. They do it with the Senate president. They do it with the where's the Senate president? What does Wade Mark used to do when he was there again? The House Speaker, the House, and all the positions are friends, families, and fools. You know what I mean? So, as far as I'm concerned, if you're looking for my vote, entertain me, be very entertaining, and then choose Calypso as way you think when you're making your speech. And that was my whole point of my episode last week. I was saying that all I want you to go there and do is say inspirational words, dress nice, smell good, look good, represent the country well, be diplomatic, you know what I mean? Go places and look nice, you know what I mean? Take pretty pictures. For all that, all those things could get my vote. I am here 100% of the time for the style over the substance. Like this week, I saw the original style over substance man, right? I saw his thing come up this week. That was the great Ian Allen. I only remember when Ian Allen get COVID. That shouldn't laugh at that. I remember how adamant Ian Allen and them was against the government, against anything the government do, because I think he's an ally of the of the opposition. I shouldn't even say ally. He was a member of the UNC and he ran on a UNC ticket once, right? So this is them fellas on them pad now. And he's a sing for your supper kind of guy. You understand? He's a sing for your supper kind of dude. And that man come and get COVID, boy. And listen, salute to Goofy, Damian Evans for posting that thing this week. I laughed till I nearly cried because they show you Ian Allen again and people going in on Ian Allen's door and he's like, Israel, I love you, man. I don't want to die. I just don't want to die. You know, I never noticed in that clip how Ian Allen was holding up a sign saying, I love you, Israel, because he can't go close. This is, and that's what I mean by style over substance, because Ian Allen, when it comes to Crime Watch, a man tell me at time they should rename it Petty Crime Watch, because he ain't solving a single serious crime or shining light on a single serious crime. But where my style over substance come from this, Ian Allen is entertaining. And once you entertaining, you are my vote. I have something that distract me from what the issue is. Let me not remember it as an issue. Let me wake up and feel good about myself and go to work and try to. My goal is to get above the politics money. If you get the money above the politics, you're good to go. Because all that talk about what the Constitution, the spirit of the Constitution is, and the decision these people make, and whether they're making good decisions or not. This country is not run by no politicians. This country is run by the big businesses run countries. Big businesses dictate what laws going to pass, when they're going to pass, who going to benefit from it, who doing the infrastructure behind it, which lawyers will be used to listen, anyway, let me move on from here, right? Because I'm here to entertain and to be entertained. Whoever is the next entertaining thing, you could get my vote. Let me see where is that. But on a slightly more serious note, and listen, let me don't leave it so because I tell them first thing. But salute to you guys on the App 868 podcast, and I want to take a moment to wish Naldo's daughter all the best in the SCA. I had to get them some talk about the coming out and thing, but I mean, serious matters is serious matters, and if your daughter doing SCA, your household have to be focused around the SCA. I want to say salute to my guy Jelani as well, my little cousin who doing SCA, and to all the children of the country who doing SCA. By the time you're hearing this, they'll be doing SCA. And to just wish them the best and to let them know too that, listen, the race is not for the swift. No? You do your best, you go out there, you put runs on the board. When you do your SCA, that's done. Whatever school you pass for and you get through it, or if you had to go back and do it over, I don't know if you still have that. Go there and batter again, batter on, you know what I mean? People just find their way at all different stages in life. So salute to them. I wish everybody best. I'm happy for all the parents who would have been putting in all that work over these few months with your children who are in SCA now. Salute to you all. You're all going to get some kind of relief after this. I mean, it's a beautiful time to enjoy as these little trends turn into big trend. I want to look about teenager now. You know what I mean? And also salute to all the teachers who have carried these children for the last 2 years all the way up to the SCA exam. Because when I was in school, it used to have a standard 4 teacher, then a standard 5 teacher. But now it's just the same teachers carry us straight through, I guess, with continuous assessment and them kind of things. So salute to everybody who involved in SCA tomorrow, and best wishes to all of y'all. Everything gonna be great, you know what I mean? And also as on school as well, my son... listen, as a parent, it's a real different life. You really live to see everything you put your parents through, yes, because I think I said on this podcast before that we had to make a hard decision to transfer Zachary out of his school. We always talk about how good San Fernando Boys RC was. And it was a really good school, and he did great throughout the years, and he had some teachers who were amazing over the years, but we had no choice but to transfer him and haven't changed institution. So I going to pick this man up Monday. And listen, I emotional, I saying, but look, this boy end this school and think, boy, this man's like, Daddy, let me go up the road. There's it. I done with here. But salute to all his teachers as well. So while he not doing SCA, he is facing a transition of his own, and we facing our own transition that we're going to work through. So now, if you listen to this podcast, you know that every year for SCA, I just come and say, me thinking vile, and me trying to protect my child, but corruption is a constant annoyance. Going on too far in common entrance. Your child don't have to be intelligent, that is a lie. Your father must pull a good string with complexion high. And if you be bright like a bulb and from Lavanti, forget Holy Names Convent and Bishop Sansti. Because you had to pick Lakadeo, Budu, Krishna Maharaj. Because Arjun and Saj, father have big garage. Chachi Bisuni Muni and Pulmani. The brother, sister, son and Narwani. Hadid Montano, Sabga and Abraham. They pick so much big shot children, they get jammed. And when they fill them big shot schools right up to the neck, they send all them poor ones to the junior sec. I remember that every year I play that, but I tell you this time I'm playing music from my brothers and sisters up the islands. We make me love this thing. And this is one who passed away, but the music live on. So the man is Rolls Royce a Calypso, you know. When I think of Rolls Royce, the man smooth, the man bad, the man is the most energetic man you ever seen on stage. Just something else when you see him perform, you know, they have a particular YouTube performance I always talk about where that man jumped from the beginning of that song to the end. Trevor Lockhart, the great Winston Soso, passed away in July 2021, you know. But if you're of a certain age group, I like to date people here, you know, because I must never be the only old man here. They have a song that Winston Soso sing that's so impactful in Trinidad and Tobago because they used to have a video, I believe, that used to play on TTT back in the day. You remember this one? Ha! Good man! There you go! Rolls Royce voice, Rolls Royce voice.
You me the truth. Baby, what is wrong with you? You acting up like a fool. Come on, I know what you're going through. Come here we go in the back and fool around. We go keep all the doors them locked until we done. Darling, come here we go in the back and fool around. All this loving you got, come give me some. Don't fight, we don't want them to hear. Be nice, darling, love me today. Come let me go in the back and cool around. Ah! Whee! All day I'm rubbing on you, now my stomach hurting. I need loving. Just give me something to cool my stomach from hurting. Some of your loving. It hurts so much I can't stand it. Stop running away from me. You're playing tough and you want it. If loving is what you need, come here we go in the back and fool around. We got keep all the doors them locked until we done. I said, come let me go in the back and fool around. All this loving you got, come give me some. Don't fight, we don't want them to hear. Be nice, darling, love me today. Come let me go in the back and fool around.
Bim, 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 bim. Come, let me go in the back and forth. Hey, St. Vincent make plenty contribution to the music, because right back St. Vincent are going on the next tune play. But let me take a trip to Jamaica still now, because see, great Peter George opening Buzo in Jamaica. You know what I mean? I was talking last week a little bit about the foreign exchange issues we have in as a country, right? And whether or not we should float the dollar or anything like that. I hear the Minister of Finance, talking about people going into abject poverty should they float the dollar and that kind of thing. And well, I talked about it in enough depth last week, right? And I did reach out to Jude from the App 868 as well. So I'm looking forward to what their take is on how they break down the discussion between the IMF and our Minister of Finance, with the IMF saying, hey, you have to remove the restrictions on the dollar, let our dollar float, remove the restrictions on the both quantity and the price of the dollar, right? And in both saying basically we can't do it because too much people will be too poor and we can't do it, so we need to manage it and control it. But one of the things that I think we need to focus on, like the question around diversification of the economy has been going on since forever. As I say, when I was in Lockjack, I went into Lockjack in 2004 and finished somewhere around 2006, right? And a huge part of the discussion in Lockjack was around 2020 being the year that oil production going to start to fall off, and is another industry that we're going to be able to depend on again, right? And we're right in the middle of it here now, right? In 2023, production is low. I mean, people predicting rebounds in the oil and gas industry. My very, very layman take is that it being propped up by some wars and so on, which nobody don't like wars, so eventually that will come down, and I can't see exactly where it would be. Because when you have more substitute products coming, I mean, cars and other industries moving away from oil and gas. I wonder where the demand coming from. Where are we going to get new supply from in a non-renewable resource? All questions they were asking 40 years and 50 years ago. But there seems to be no organized approach by any of these regimes to move into other industries that could get us foreign exchange in a serious or organized way, right? So I always applaud things like this when I saw Buzo opening in Jamaica. Because one of the things that has to happen for our foreign exchange situation to regularize is production, is making more things that we can sell on the international market. You had to sell stuff on the international market and attract foreign exchange. The same way oil and gas now, what we really sell is FDI, right? Foreign direct investment. We don't have oil and gas. We don't take out our oil and gas from the ground. We don't own the resource. We lease the resource to people who pay us a leasing fee or taxes based on what they take from us, right? Which benefits us, right? There's no knock on it, and it has afforded us a decent standard of living now. And even in going through rough times and recessions and oil price slumps and production downturns and so on, when you compare us to Barbados, for instance, we're not as deeply indebted to people like the IMF, where IMF have full control over what we do. The IMF making suggestions and things. You could be indebted to the IMF to the point where it's almost like mandate changes. You can't get the money unless you make changes to the way the economy is run, and we're not there. So let's assume that there's no more revenue coming in from oil and gas because it's not a viable industry for us anymore. We run out of oil and gas or whatever. All the oil companies gone. Somebody was telling me today that the oil sector moved from 26,000 people employed to 8,000. So it shows how much the industry has contracted. But the question is always what replaces it. And the question is usually posed to the government. Like the government should have some organized approach, which is true in terms of planning for where we need to be tomorrow, right? But what we also need is entrepreneurship and businesses to go into spaces where they can earn foreign exchange. So opening restaurants abroad. I always remember when I was in Lockjack. Salute to my boy Edmond, my boy JP. We used to be in groups, and one of the things we used to talk about a lot was franchising, right? And I'm talking about young fellas who trying to find, well, I was young, these fellas and them was old a long time, but young fellas who trying to figure out ways to get business started and invest in things, right? And franchising was one of the things that was presented as a real good, a viable entry into business. Those fellas were further along in their career than me and a little more settled financially. So even them, they were looking at the idea of franchising in terms of a business model where when you're buying into a franchise, right, where you're getting is two things. You're getting a brand and an operating system. So first, you're paying to be able to use the name Starbucks, right? Of course, the name Starbucks comes with a certain amount of equity. Because when you open a Starbucks, people will come. I saw a Starbucks open in Brentwood that done full every day already. I was driving past El Socorro recently. When you drive past there, the whole drive-through full because they now open that Starbucks. I mean, the plants on them around the Starbucks, they even grow properly. Yes, it's so new. But Sunday morning, the place was full with people in the drive-through, and that's what a good brand name does for you. A good brand name drives revenue, right? So, like in any business, is revenue minus cost is equally profit, right? That's what businesses come down to. So when you buy into a franchise and you get a good brand name, it drives revenue. So your revenue is typically higher than if I make Corey's coffee, right? Which nobody don't want to drink apparently. What it also does is give you an operating system, which is the cost side of the business, because that is how you're going to make the coffee, how you're going to build a store, how you hire the staff. It tells you how to operate. So they give you a template for how to operate and even train you or send shadow people here to work with you so you know how to operate a store. So by the time a year or 2 or 3 pass, Prestige Holdings becomes experts in how to run a Starbucks store because they've been trained so much and they have all the guidelines and they've done it for so long and they could predict how much money it will make and all that. So what you're buying to is the brand, which will control your revenue, your operating system, which will control your cost. So you buy into a certain amount of profitability. And you tend to find that that profit margin is bigger the bigger the franchise you join into. Bigger in terms of the bigger the brand name and the bigger the system, like how much stores they have globally. Because when I go to buy a fridge, a commercial fridge or commercial coffee making machine, whatever that might be, the price to me might be $5,000 to bring this thing in. But when Starbucks go there and they say we want 6,000 of them fridge because we have so much of stores all over the world, their unit price going to be much lower than you could pay. So you tend to find that while you have to pay, when you're buying a franchise, you typically have to pay an upfront fee and you pay royalties, right? Everything you sell, you're going to pay them then a percentage of the revenue, right? It's not a percentage of the profits, it's a percentage of the revenue. That's an important consideration, right? So we always used to be discussing this as a business model where maybe we could raise enough funds to get an upfront fee done. And if we buy into a franchise that was big enough, I remember us discussing Outback Steakhouse at the time, Chipotle, those types of like casual dining restaurants as an opportunity, similar to Buzo. Buzo would be considered casual dining, right? They couldn't be fine dining, right? It would be casual. So we were also saying, like, when you look at a restaurant like Trotters, we were also looking at it and saying, well, what stops our restaurants from being franchised? Why can't we develop brands that other people find the brand name is so good and the operating system is so good that they would want to buy into us rather than us having to buy into them? Because there's a movie called The Founder, right? The Founder. Go and watch that movie. If you never understand what franchising is, The Founder is a good movie for you to watch so you understand exactly how franchising works and why it could be very hard to run if you don't have two like-minded people at the helm, you know what I mean? Both the franchisor and the franchisee. But you tend to find that the franchisor, the man who owned McDonald's Global, everybody else, the more restaurants they open, you make independent entrepreneurs like Prestige Holdings wealthy. But you get a lot of wealth, an enormous amount of wealth by owning such a big system, even though you only getting a percentage of each sale. Your risks starting to get minimized as well because you have a brand that's globally recognizable, so it could stand the bounce of a few things that might happen in the global space. And you have huge economies of scale, right? You're buying in bulk and, you know, the economies of scale, right? So I was looking at it. We were always talking about like what can we do to build a brand that is so strong and an operating system that is so strong that a man might look at our restaurant and say, boy, I rather get the Soca Stars. That was we naming Lockjack, yeah? Long time I like this thing. They say, why we can't get the Soca Stars restaurant to be something that people will look at it and they say, boy, better we buy into that than we try to make our own restaurant. Like our man will say, boy, I better buy into Starbucks rather than make my own restaurant. So these are things that always fascinate me, and I'm glad to see the founder and CEO of Trotters. So let me read from the Jamaica Observer, right? Since it's a regional episode and all, the Peter George owned Buzo Osteria Italiana. Let me read this right. The Peter George owned Buzo Osteria Italiana restaurant officially opened its doors yesterday, welcoming Jamaicans to savor the taste of northern Italy. Located at One Park Close in New Kingston, just below the Marriott Courtyard, and with views of Emancipation Park, the restaurant is George's third iteration of the Buzo brand in the Caribbean, the other two being in his native Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados. In an interview with the Jamaica Observer, the Trinidadian magnate shared his Trotters restaurant group portfolio now comprises of 8 eateries in the 3 countries. Buzo, which had its inception in 2017, the group's flagship Trotters sports bar, Tommy's Brew Pub, Mediterranean-styled Amaras, and Blue Star Diner, a 50s-styled American diner. Explaining the concept behind Buzo, well, he went on to talk about Buzo and so on. So I was not clear on this as to whether this was a franchise opportunity or a direct investment. Same FDI, just the way BP would come and open, start their company here. He can go there and create Buzo or Trotters or any one of them, which I suspect you will see more of in the Caribbean. Because I remember when he did the Barbados Buzo, and now he's launching Jamaica. So let me assume here that he is sole owner, right? He invested directly and is starting Buzo over there. The restaurant scene in Jamaica, I'm not backing this with any numbers or anything. I'm just talking from my own experience of going out to restaurants there versus here. It's a little more buzzing. It's busier. I suppose they have a lot more people than us. That Kingston is a bigger city and that kind of thing too. So you tend to find that when you're going to a restaurant here, sometimes on a Tuesday or Wednesday, it laugh dead. You know what I mean? It feel a little bit depressing. It could be a little bit depressing when you go to a restaurant. You try and have a night out on your birthday is a Monday, but the place dead. you tend to find that is not the case when you go out in Jamaica during the week or early in the week. You find that places still have a little buzz and a little things going on. So it makes sense as an investment. And I often wonder if we're not seeing that these are some of the ways that we have to increase our foreign exchange intake, because the money that is going to come in from those restaurants in Jamaica, in Barbados and so on, and even let's assume he opened one in Miami or one in Texas or one in New York or Chicago, it is going to bring in more foreign currency into the country and make us more globally competitive and create brands that the world wants. I think we have a few brands that the world wants now, Angostura Bitters being probably our most global product. Maybe followed by Chubby and Sasha Cosmetics to a lesser extent, at least regionally. Even in the Spanish-speaking Caribbean might be their biggest market. But we need more brands like this and more people like this who take that initiative and that enterprising spirit to other territories. So as much as I want to come here and play some of these songs from people who contributed to our culture throughout the islands, one of the things that I feel we underestimate a little bit is how Carnival as a product can be seen as a brand and an operating system. So when you look at a business like whether it's Tribe, whether it's Marshall and his shows, or is Ronnie and Caro, or whatever version, I hate to come back and always use Tribe and Marshall and them, but they are some of the biggest, and Bungie and them. But any one of the entities that make up a Carnival, a Despers, a Tribe, a Marshall, whatever the entities are, whether it's artists, is band, is, well, music band, mass band, pan band, whichever one it is. We can develop these things in the same way that Peter George could see the opportunities of the islands and establish himself as Buzo throughout the islands, and maybe even open himself up to the people who find it attractive enough to come to him and say, "Hey, Peter George, here what now? I wanna present a franchising opportunity to you. I'm not sure if you're ready for franchising and thing yet, but I know you're opening Kingston and stuff, and I come there and it was so great. And I listen, I in the Wynwood area in Miami here, and I see a real opportunity for a restaurant like Buzo. They have a few Italian places, but none of them have the Caribbean fusion. You understand where I'm coming from? And we create opportunities for ourselves like that. So we still tend to have we look at Carnival as something we can lose. And maybe because we look at it as something we could lose, we want to hold on to it so tight that we find difficulty in celebrating the fact that Jamaica have a Carnival coming up in a couple months. And Marshall Montano went over there and launching, what do you think name? WeFet. So a joint promotion between Gen XS and WePay called WeFet is scheduled to take place on Saturday, April 15th at Sabina Park. And I see people looking like they're a little bothered by it. They don't like the idea of it. So these things are always a little bit strange to me, and it makes me more like wonder why. Like, why? How come we don't see Marshall or Liz Montano as entrepreneurs just the way we see Peter George? They're going to look, any entrepreneur is going to look for more markets and bigger markets to expand their product. And I don't know about you, but I just feel proud. I don't drink Chubby, but I just feel proud when I go Walmart and I see a little Chubby and anything. You know, sometimes when you go and you see Chubby, you see Carib, you stand up in the aisle watching it, and then another train is passing and says, "Carib, you're from Trinity." And I don't know if the people still do that, but I just feel good when I see those things. And I feel equally good when I see Marshall in Jamaica at a launch of their Carnival and launch promoting his show basically, along with the book King of Soca and so on that Liz Montano would have written. I feel good about it. I feel just like how I feel when I see Peter George open Buzo. I just feel it as another opportunity for us to grow a bigger brand and get opportunities that could change the fortunes of everybody in this country in the same way the oil and gas industry would have changed our fortunes in the 70s. I don't see these things as mutually exclusive. And it's so funny that people are upset about it, because the very WePay that they're talking about is a Trinidadian entrepreneur as well. I believe his name is Alwyn Wayne. He's the CEO of WePay. And WePay is basically a digital currency, right? Am I using the right term, digital currency or cashless system? Whichever one is the right term, go with that, right? But I remember him being here. I went to Lockjack one time and he was doing a presentation about his goal for WePay and the difficulty he was getting with the banking system here. Fast forward to today, he said he's too frustrated. He said, boy, this place frustrating. You're not making any progress with his app and what he's trying to do and his goals here. So he picked up his company and went to Jamaica and he gained all the support he need from the banking sector and the finance ministry and so on in Jamaica to get some success over there. So I was glad to see like them collaborating to do this, and I'm thinking like this had to be a good thing. This the exact things we need to do to control so that we have more productive things going on. But we have more products being put out there that the world wants and the world wants to pay for and the world wants to see. And Carnival has so many different elements that we could use in spaces like those, and the impression may be that one man going and make all that money, right? But listen, let me tell you something. You can't make money by yourself in this life, you know. It does not happen that way. So when that one man make money, it's like when you have a big event, it creates so much opportunities for so many people to make money. Sometimes you have to look at the foreign businesses or the foreign investments in the same way. Sparking an industry like that is going to make way for other people to come. So I don't want to use Voice on them as examples. So let me assume all of them on the same level as Marshall and they're going to get booked anyway, right? But let me use an artist like Roma. Only remember my Inni Mini Mini song last week? So when Marshall go there and make the carnival over there a bigger thing and it's having more feds, not saying he alone responsible for it, but when we have a collective effort like Peter George went there, we have bands, so a pan band, music band, artists, FET promoter, everybody goes over there and they continue to build another ecosystem or economic system out there. Then the smaller artists who would only be booked in small gigs in Trinidad, now they have an opportunity to get booked over there because somebody else make the way for it. So the idea that Marshall go and sing has allowed millions and nobody will ever get a US when it come back here is simply not true. The US that come back here when all the other artists go and get paid in US, they're coming back here to put it in banks here. It is going to come back into our system. If Marshall make 2 million US, he can't keep the 2 million US in his hand. I hope to God he didn't put it where Usain Bolt put his own, but going to go into some institution here that may be then used to develop our infrastructure, build our thing, boost our economy, jumpstart businesses, and so on. So I just want to salute both Marshall Montano and Peter George. And I'm saying all this to say I might be trying to see how best I could get a little Jamaica thing, you know what I mean? I really thought Jamaica Carnival was Easter, you know. I really thought it was Easter. But I forget they make too much of fuss over the Easter and the religious thing and things, so they put it about a month after Easter. And when I'm watching now, the flights on them ain't too bad. You know, the flights on them for Easter are a little expensive, but the flights on them, maybe for research purposes. For podcast, I wonder if this podcast have a budget boy to send me up there and just take in what's going on. But yeah, I just feel like it's one of the ways that we had to start taking a serious look at what this foreign exchange situation is. If we intend to leave that dollar where it is, we better produce something that the world wants. Because at its most basic level, demand and supply, if you leave a dollar to float, demand and supply is what determines the price of $1 against the next dollar. And the demand is the demand for my goods versus the demand for your goods. The supply of my goods versus supply of your goods. So even in a two-country world, the more I want from the US, assuming I have to get US dollars to get US goods and services, is the more money I will have to pay for US dollars. So we have to manage our export situation and find things that we can sell in the international or in the global market, not just in CARICOM, but we sell in the international and the global spaces and have brand names that people want and interested in spending money on and interested in investing in and being a part of, which Carnival is one. And that is going to help increase the amount of things that are demanded from this country. And then we will have a natural control over the exchange rate rather than an artificial control, which is making it impossible to get US dollars and to me propping up a system that don't really make 100% sense. But let me see how that go. And I also heard Dr. Watson I think it's Patrick Watson on Blaze and them show Monday morning. And I was so glad that Blaze and Miles brought an economist on there. Because sometimes you listen to these shows and you wonder if how interested people are in issues like this. I mean, I know who I'm talking to on the podcast, and sometimes I hesitate to talk about issues that are too heavy, you know what I mean? But I was glad that they brought him on, and he was on for a long time. He was on for a good 20 minutes, which in radio, that's a long, long time, especially for a morning show that has so much music and ads and stuff to play. But I was glad to see they brought him on, and he was talking a lot about the government's efforts to manage the float, basically, or put a cap on how much we pay for US. And it was very interesting and well, a little bit. I was happy to see how many people were actually paying attention, and I'm glad to see him there. So Blaze and they said that they would have him there more often. So also looking forward to his take on what we should do where the US dollar is concerned. Because I mean, the last economist I would hear from Roger Hussain, I remember him talking about 10 and 15 to 1 and them kind of thing when it comes to US. But anyway, again, I want to go back to St. Vincent, right? Because as I went through my regional Calypso search was ready to find songs that really move me and cause me to like this thing they call Calypso and Soca, that from people who wasn't from here. Just to show as well that the point I'm making is that it is safe to let other people into the culture. And it is safe to send the culture other places. Nobody not coming to take nothing from we. They're just going to contribute and make it bigger and bigger and make we love it more and more. And this is one of the songs that make me love the thing. This is one of the songs that make me love it. When is St. Vincent Carnival? Better go there.
Come inside the people fete. We dance all night until we wet.
I when I ask you for your number,
you have a negative answer. Girl, you ain't nothing but a teaser. A dirty, dirty teaser. I love the way you dance the soca, but you ain't nothing but a teaser. Making sure they check you out. Well, you ain't nothing but a teaser, a dirty, dirty teaser. I love your reggae, love your soca, but you ain't nothing but a teaser. Reggae teaser, teaser, soca teaser.
She's a teaser, teaser, a soca teaser. Hey, here we're going on. That Soca Warriors bad. I just want to say that outright, right? Outright. I run out of time, but I just want to take a quick moment to say congratulations to the Soca Warriors. I'm vexed I didn't go to Tobago for that game, and I really vexed with myself. If I was paying attention more, I would have tried and hop off flight there quick Monday. That was exactly last day in boys' school. Anyway, we could have go to Tobago for the night, watch the game, and come back. But I mean, we went over to Tobago, coming off at 2-1. And we draw with Nicaragua 1-1, and we kind of lost the leg. And you know what I mean? We lost the double. Well, what is it called? Home and away. We out. Oh, well, we still have a chance to qualify for the Gold Cup. This would have qualified us automatically to the Gold Cup. And if I'm not mistaken, it would have gotten us into a qualifying round for Copa America. I think we had to give the team kudos. Angus have them on a different level in terms of the level of confidence, and at least we were playing against teams who we supposed to beat and beating them. You know what I mean? That's a good sign. I can't take too much of the Bahamas thing again. You know, I can't deal with that. I'm not dealing with that in Soca Warriors history again. As you know, I'm here to guide us safely to the World Cup in 2026. So at least you're seeing the progress of the team. You're seeing several young names and faces in the mix, and at least we had a late goal disallowed for handball as well. Look a little handsy to me, to be honest, but they're saying, you know what I mean, we go argue that it wasn't hands. Angus Eve argue that the people had nasty tactics. They say the late tactics was poor. Men playing injured in the middle of plays. They say players throwing ball onto the field, so it had 2 ball. Like the men on them was, I mean, for a team to have to do that much to come to Tobago to get a draw says something about the quality of the play. The experts like Lasana Liebert, among others, who I know Lasana is wide 868, but also SocaWarriors.net, if I'm not mistaken. The experts and the people who know football the most still saying we're not there. We're lacking a little too much going forward. We lacking some aggression in the game. Sometimes they say we sit back too long and wait too late to turn the aggression on in the games. But at least we not lost in no 2-0 to Barbados. And Puerto Rico and all these kind of people beating me. At least we not in that position again. So I just want to say salute to them. And Angus now have a little more time with the team before we get to the point of those Gold Cup qualifiers. We need to be back in the Gold Cup. We had to be competing. I talk about competing in global competitiveness. Global competitiveness is start with football. Your economy can't be good if your football side ain't good, right? So we had to work on that and make sure that we get back to the point where we in the Gold Cup. We had to be competing to come out of group stage in the Gold Cup. We can't be this thing now where we fighting up to try to be part of the Gold Cup. We had to get past that fast and get a rank where we do have to be in these early qualifying rounds for Gold Cup anyway. Before I get out of here, Saturday night, long time I ain't come out my place and the Stacey bring me out and all that. And wait, one more thing on Soca Warriors before, right? I like how sad the team look when they draw that game with Nicaragua. I find sometimes them side to be looking too happy when they lost something, so I like how they was looking sad. But anyway, Saturday night, I see King Addies is in the country for one of their anniversary too. What them is 40th anniversary, like Marshall too, or 25th, I believe. And my mind saying yes, but my body is standing up. I just can't take every muscle in my bone is be hurting when I stand up so long. But when I see Addies and Matty Miller and Taurus Movement and Zygon, I feel like it would be hard for me to miss it. So Saturday night, I'm trying to muster up all the energy I have to go a little song clash thing. I love to see a little dubs play and them kind of thing, you know. And I would love to hear now how today's music incorporated into dubs, you know what I mean, with sounds who from way back in the day. Particularly Matty Miller and Addies, but Taurus and them special and Zygon special in the way they put together songs, and it's just bad songs all around. I want to see if Mr. ex-CEO of TTT will be taking back the mic for Zygon when I feel. Robert's back on it? I know, because he's one of the baddest, you know. But first I need to muster up the energy and the strength. I mean, I might need to go back to chiropractor, do a couple massage, whatever I need to do to be able to stand up for 2-3 hours, but it's been a while since I see Umba and Matty Miller play, and I'm eager to get out there and to hear what happened and see if anybody cut any little Roma dubs, you know what I mean? I'm waiting to hear that. So anyway, I get out of here, you know, and I really only realized that I'd line up a few songs for this song, and then I realized how much of these songs was from St. Vincent, so it's only right that I end the podcast on a St. Vincent kind of note, right?
St. Vincent, my homeland, you gave me no mansion, no gold, no diamond, yet I love you a million for the things that you have to offer. Is more than my heart's desire.
Yes.
Lovely beach, tropical breeze, always there within my reach.
I love you, St. Vincent.
Me sweet little island, St. Vincent. I love you, St. Vincent. Home of the blessed St. Vincent. St. Vincent, St. Vincent, I love you. Can look at the sunrise, can look at the sunset. Sweet Mother Nature, such beauty, such splendor. Can live my life without fear. Freedom to go anywhere. You got love.
Yes.
And you got peace.
From La Soufrière to the Grenadines.
I love you, St. Vincent. Me sweet little island, St. Vincent. I love you, St. Vincent. Home of the blessed St. Vincent. St. Vincent, St. Vincent, I love you.
It's one of the sweetest pieces of music Beckett ever sing.
Night morning, Christmas and Carnival. You got so much bacchanal.
Why?
Wailing time.
Yes.
It's any time.
Yes. At any time. It's wailing time. Because I love you,
St. Vincent. Me sweet little island, St. Vincent. I love you, St. Vincent. Me high room, St. Vincent. St. Vincent, St. Vincent, I love you. Mango guava jelly.
Sing, man, sing.
Early morning fish tea. Coconut water. Ferrin and Sabuka. Pilau, crayfish and kalaloo. Sauce, dumpling and maniku. Roast breadfruit.
Yes.
Blackfish ribs. And much, much more. Deliciousness. I love you, St. Vincent. Me sweet little island, St. Vincent. I love you, St. Vincent. Home of the blessed St. Vincent. St. Vincent, St. Vincent, I love
if you have any doubts that all the way in the Caribbean is the same, go and listen to Beckett last verse. And hear all the food is the same and all the way celebrating it the same way. But anyway, well, I kiss them children, wish them the best in the SCA. Kiss them parents too, because all them frightened like hell and there's nothing to frighten for. Tell them the SCA overrated, you know. But we wish everybody the best and always stay safe. I'm going to see you all next week. Bye-bye.